But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 6, 3, 2, 9, 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is a Tuesday night. Thanks, APOC. Well, one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things we're not allowed to talk about? You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Got another doozy for you tonight. Shout out to the Night Stalker if he's out there for dropping some hot fire articles in the Discord today. We got there's some interesting things happening in the world. Like they say, right? They always say, "May you live in interesting times." That's how the saying goes. And I think for sure, being the connoisseur of news cycles that I am, and all the just crazy stuff that seems to happen on a daily basis. Well, interesting times indeed, because there's in case you guys didn't know, there's a war going on again, or I think probably still's most accurate, but this time it's in Ukraine. It's not in Afghanistan. Well, it's probably still happening in Afghanistan. It's just kind of fallen out of the news cycles, right? So there's that. There's a war going on, right? A very 1984 Orwellian war, meaning that it just never ends, right? The endless wars, and instead of feeding people, we're killing people. It's fantastic, right? It's like the best way to just get on with the Orwellian future of the full spectrum control, right? But yeah, and so this is about war tonight, but not directly, indirectly, because there's always some shenanigans going on with war, right? Because every wartime comes through, and there's always some new technology, some new breakthrough, somebody trying to get an edge, right, on the opponent, trying to find a better, more efficient way to kill people. War. Good old-fashioned war. Yeah, what's up, Satan in the chat? Satan has arrived. The party can begin. What's up, Satan? Says, same proxy war, different settings. Yeah, it seems like that. It certainly seems like that, right? As long as we're sending, expensive military arms to a, country somewhere halfway across the world, everything's fine. That's the status quo. That's where things are, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way things go. But we'll get to the war in a little bit, and some of these actual, let's say, using nefarious means to kill people better and faster and more efficiently and all the rest of that, right? There you go. What's up, Robert? Over in Rockfin says, the USA has been at war for 222 out of 245 years. There it is. There it is. Yeah. Well, so, hey, I mean, hey, don't look at me. I didn't start this. I didn't set this fire. I'm just talking about it. Okay. So here's the thing, right? So this show is a conversation. Just as we get going tonight, this is not any declaration of truth. Please relax. Just kind of kick your feet up and think about the world maybe in a way you hadn't thought about it before, because that's why we do this. We get together and we talk about these things as part of a conversation. So as part of that, we have open phone lines. We've got an open Discord, and you can come be part of the show. Easy as that. Just dial the phone number at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can find the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll push you on the show. It's as easy as that, all right? We are streaming, of course, on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and reading your chat in all the places. Again, I'm keeping my eyes on all the chat, trying to keep up with your guys' thoughts and ideas and incorporate them into the show. This is a very, very interactive thing. So if you got some ideas, just keep the chat coming. I'll try and catch up with you guys and keep my brain space in the same space as the chat. So with that, please be kind to each other in the chat. I would appreciate that very much. Okay, so it goes like this, right? We're doing that. We're streaming in all those places, reading all the chat, the open phone line, open Discord. Please, we're also broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. That's digital radio. And of course, there are a number of ways you can help the Fringe FM, and you can do that by joining the Discord, number one. It's the same program. Discord, of course, is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free, and as long as you have an internet connection, and you can find that at fringe.fm/chat. I'm watching the thing here and watching the chat there as well. And also, the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds is to download the Fringe app. It's completely free. You can find it on Android or Apple app stores, and it's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds. Just 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. Smash the play button. You get little old me. You get us. You get these conversations, and as bonus, of course, you get all the rest of the amazing programming that happens on the Fringe. So there you go. All right, so let's do it again. Shout out, Night Stalker says he can't chat too much. He's got the boss breathing down his neck right now. So just shout out to him, because this show was inspired by the articles he was linking tonight in the chat. But check this out. We're going to start here. We'll start with Yahoo News. Back to the war. All right. So we started with war tonight, and we're going to get to war as we go. Listen to this. Headline is, Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs. All right. Now, how hot is that? I mean, in a bad way. But okay. So, and here's the thing too, for those of you that didn't know regarding this idea. So this is laced in propaganda, of course. But what we're going to do, as usual, is we do what's called drinking the maybe juice. We're going to suspend our disbelief and consider that maybe this is actually true. And who knows? It may be, for all the hell I know. I don't have answers. I wish I was the answers guy, because answers are easy, but questions are quite a bit harder, because you have to ask the right questions to get, at least an entertaining conversation. That's for sure. So this is the thing, right? Regarding propaganda, and the reason I bring that up is because there's a number of things at play here, and the QAnon groups that sort of, I don't know, CIA fueled or maybe backed, or I don't know. It seems like a psyop to me, that whole QAnon stuff. And I've never been an adherent or any of the rest of that. I do follow it very, very in the periphery, and I was not impressed with that movement. Right, I was absolutely not impressed with QAnon. But the thing is, and the reason I bring them up, and the idea here is that there's this big to-do regarding the Ukrainian conflict, all right? Because, of course, we can't call it a war because Russia gets mad. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. Russia can screw off. I don't give a damn. But meaning that I'll say what I want. But the thing is this, right? So there's this remember the whole thing, the whole conspiracy regarding the deep state, right? The deep state and all the rest of the stuff, and like the Wuhan lab and the lab leak hypothesis regarding COVID. Don't worry, this is not about COVID. But right, so there's all that. Now, once again, the QAnon is the big Trump-backed thing, right? Okay, so once Trump gets out of office and then this Ukraine war starts, the QAnon types are saying that that Russia is actually helping the deep state, or no, they're fighting against the deep state. I'm sorry, by moving into the Ukraine and trying to take out, let's say, United States biolabs that are all over the Ukraine, okay? And there is some truth to that. There are some biolabs in the Ukraine, okay? But Russia helping fighting against our deep state in Ukraine seems like a bit of a stretch to me, okay? It seems like a stretch. Like I said, I'm not the arbiter of truth. It's just my initial thought, my feeling on that matter, okay? So that's why I want to bring this up, because this is laced in some bit of propaganda that the Russians are saying, hey, they got these biolabs over there, and they're like making these super soldiers, and that's why they're kicking our ass, right? Well, okay, all right, fine, all right. So just want to mention that, okay. But then back to this article. Yahoo News. Now with that framing this, the setup here, back to the headline. Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs. Does it make a little more sense now? Okay, regarding the propaganda. Let's read a little bit from this article. This just seems... yeah, wild. Nearly 5 months into its senseless war against Ukraine, Russia has concocted a wild new explanation for why the Kremlin's plans for a quick takeover fell apart so spectacularly. Because Ukrainian troops were turned into superhuman killing machines during secret experiments in American-run biolabs. Of course. All right. Never mind the myriad reports of Russian troops refusing to fight by the thousands, sabotaging their own shoddy equipment, and even deliberately wounding themselves to abandon the war. It's definitely what the propaganda on this side is saying anyway. But back to the article here. Russian lawmakers claim the real setback for Moscow was drugged-up Ukrainian soldiers. The claim was made Monday by two Russian lawmakers heading up a commission to investigate biolaboratories in Ukraine, Kommersant reported. And these two individuals, Konstantin Kosachev, the deputy speaker of Russia's Federation Council, and Irina Yarovaya, deputy chair of the State Duma, touted that they described as bombshell findings from the investigation. Testing, here's what they said. Testing of Ukrainian POWs' blood, they claimed, uncovered a range of diseases that suggest they were secretly experimented on for military purposes. Uh-oh. Continue quote here. And we see the cruel... let's do this. Let's go. Let's do it this way. And we see the cruelty and no, I'm not going to do that. Barbarity with which the military, I'm Russian is terrible, even my mocking Russian accent, and sorry about that. The Russian people are fine. The government is horrific. But anyway, and we see the cruelty and barbarity with which the military personnel of Ukraine behave, the crimes that they commit against the civilian population, those monstrous crimes that they commit against prisoners of war, confirm that this system for the control and creation of a cruel murder machine was implemented under the management of the United States. Yarovaya was quoted telling reporters. And those performance-enhancing drugs that they are still given in order to completely neutralize the last traces of human consciousness and turn them into the most cruel and deadly monsters also confirm this. Okay, so now they're saying they're giving them these performance-enhancing drugs, all right, to completely neutralize the last traces of human consciousness, all right, and turn them into monstrous killing machines, okay? Now here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing with this. It is not new. It's not new that when you send people into war, we can go back to World War II and talk about Hitler, and he was hopping up, the Blitzkrieg on a bunch of speed so that they didn't have to sleep, or, right, it was, they were, they could give a damn about the safety and the health of their soldiers, right? It's like they were a means to an end, very much like most soldiers anymore, right? And so the thing is, if they're hopping them up on speed to get every little bit of, let's say, juice out of the soldiers, right? Cut out the sleep, make sure that they're always super alert. And of course, well, if you're hopped up on speed, you're also, let's say, I don't know. I don't know. I've never been on speed. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. But okay. But the thing here is this, all right? So the question, it brings some questions to my mind regarding just this first article. And we're going to get to the bears. You see that the man-bear hybrid soldier, we're going to get to the bears. I'll explain the bears in a little bit. This ties together, kind of. Because the question tonight is this, regarding super soldiers, okay? Regarding the idea that, let's say, in a laboratory, one way or the other, you are beefing up dudes to go kill each other better, right? How deep do you think this rabbit hole goes? How deep? How about the bear hole? The bear hole? That sounds weird. How about the rabbit hole? How deep does this rabbit hole go? And the bear, of course, is interesting because the Russian bear, right? It's been one of those things for a very, very, very long time. The protector of the Russian motherland is the bear, right? The Russian bear. And, you get these video games with a Zangief from Street Fighter with the big Russian wrestling bear, right? It's like a thing, like the bear of Russia. Okay, well, anyway, so I digress a little bit. So the question here, how deep does the rabbit hole go? How much do you think has actually happened in regard to, let's say, wartime manipulation of, I don't know, even DNA, or what the hell's going on here, right? That's the first question, because we've got this bombshell claim of the Russians saying that the reason they're getting their asses kicked in the Ukraine is because they are hopping up their soldiers with experimental bio somethings to turn their Ukrainian soldiers into killing machines. So how deep does this go? Do you think that they're actually doing things like hybridization experiments, which we're going to get to tonight? Because, of course, we're talking about the man-bear-pig, right? Everybody knows the man-bear-pig from South Park, right? The man-bear-pig, except there's no pig tonight. But, right, don't poke the bear. What's up, Crystal Shaman in the chat? I see there. And so that's the thing, all right? So how deep does the rabbit hole go? How much do you think they're actually experimenting on? And again, we can go all the way to like Star Wars levels type stuff, meaning that do you think they're actually creating clones? Or right, and things like this. So not only, let's say, manipulating people genetically to be better fighters, more ferocious, less hesitant, less, kind of trim out the idea that they are, let's say, no remorse. Trim out the remorse from people, so they just get in there and just start slaughtering people like nuts, right? Creating monsters in a laboratory. Do you think that, one, they are actually maybe cloning people and manipulating them genetically to become monsters, or what's going on here again? Or do you think, let's say, just in regard, before we get to the bears, just in regard to this political propaganda from Russia, do you think they actually are hopping up their mutant troops in secret biolabs? Do you think this is really going on? Because, well, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, so at least in those terms, right? It seems like this is a solid maybe, all right? A solid maybe. Because who knows? Who really knows what's going on over there? The QAnon stuff, no, I'm not. That's a hard no for me. Okay, but look, this is what's going on. So this is where we start tonight, okay? And then the thing is, moving past this idea of these experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs, how beastly do you think they made these things, right? That's the question tonight. How long do you think this has been going on? And we can talk a little bit about MK Ultra tonight. We can talk about, I don't know, let's say hybridization of human beings, including, bears. Bears. What's up? Brene Saw says, the Bourne Legacy. Yes, indeed. Exactly right. All right, so let's get to the bears now. So those are the questions tonight. How deep do you think this rabbit hole goes? Now, listen to this. Now, this gets absolutely nutters. All right, so in the same space, and oddly enough, right, so we start with this article here. Russia accuses Ukraine of having these mutant troops created in the secret biolabs, all right? And that's why they're getting their Russian bear ass kicked. Now, not to be outdone, literally the same day or like within 24 hours of each other, we get to the bears. All right. Now here's the bears. Check this out. This is from futurism.com. And wouldn't you know it, right? This is a way you can actually do exactly what we're talking about. And they're talking about, well, creating, Headline is this from Futurism. Scientists supercharge human muscle cells by injecting them with bear serum. Oh. Oh. The subheadline sounds like a premise for a superhero movie. Interestingly, in the same day, within 24 hours of each other, we have this report. Again, the Russian bear sort of symbology, okay? And Russia also stating that Ukraine has hopped up super soldiers kicking their ass. Weird, right? Listen, maybe some of that synchro mysticism stuff coming out here. I don't know. But anyway, let's read a little bit of this. In news that seems like it just might lead to a strange new superhero, Japanese scientists say cultured human muscle cells can stay swole with an injection of bear serum. Yeah. The secret, according to a press release from the University of Hiroshima, is bears' ability to hibernate for extended periods of time without losing muscle mass. All right? Check this out. This gets wild. Humans live with a use it or lose it rule when it comes to muscle gain and physical activity. But bears don't have the same problem. Hibernating bears bunker down for months without eating or drinking, yet they don't lose significant muscle mass or strength when they wake up. Humans start losing muscle mass after only 3 weeks of inactivity, and prolonged bouts of lying still without eating or drinking can lead to serious health problems or even death. All right, so we got this physiology thing going on with bears, right? And bears are scary. You guys ever seen a bear in actual like real life? They're scary. Like, I mean, there's little ones and there's big ones, but I don't know. Even the little ones will whoop your ass, right? So, and sometimes they seem chill, but just don't get too close, right? Bears are scary. They will kick your ass. All right, but look, here's the thing, right? So not only that, this is the interesting part here. Quote, hibernating animals are likely better described to be under the no use but no lose phenomenon, in that there is a potential resistance to muscle atrophy during continued disuse conditions. So scientists still don't know exactly what causes the proteins and compounds in bear muscles to react to hibernation in the way they do, but the answer could be a key to improving the quality of life for humans, which means, of course, we could, sit on the couch and stay swole, right? we could binge watch Netflix like crazy and just still stay buffed, right? You just you take the bear injection, the bear serum, because this is a physiological thing that happens with a bear. They literally hibernate 5 to 7 months out of the year, and they wake up and they're still as buffed as when they went to sleep. Hey, talk about the ultimate couch potato, right? So let's merge the two ideas together. And again, the odd symbology of the Russian bear, accusing the Ukrainian soldiers of being mutant super soldiers. All right. And so this is why I was talking about the bear hole earlier, right? That's why I was talking about the bear hole. Meaning, in particular, this. All right? This. If you take this bear serum and you inject it into soldiers, bear juice, well, what do you think you get as far as the soldiers? Right? That would be a beastie super soldier. And there's a lot that kind of comes together with this. So that's the question tonight. Like, how deep does this rabbit hole go regarding super soldiers? And not only that, we know about the mutants from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comics, and this type of thing, like superheroes. So interestingly, we've got the idea of the Russian bear. We've got accusations of Ukraine and mutant soldiers created in U.S. Biolabs. And all of this bear serum stuff hitting the news cycle within 24 hours of each other. Super weird, right? It's almost like, it's almost like the plot thickens. And they're trying to tell us something. But I don't know. What are your thoughts here? How deep does this rabbit hole go regarding super soldiers? How deep does the rabbit hole go regarding, let's say bear serum? If you can make bear serum and inject, let's say the buffest couch potato, and 6 months later, without any exercise, the couch potato is still buffest. What does that do to a soldier on the battlefield? You already know. You totally already know. But, like I said, this is just an idea. But what do you think is really going on out there regarding super soldiers, regarding maybe mutants on the battlefield? And of course, The endless wars. Love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More? That's right. The Russian bear serum, super soldiers, the Ukrainian war. What the hell is going on? Be right back. Don't go anywhere. We got Night Stalker on the line and Matt in Colorado. Be right back, guys. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of the man-bear hybrid soldier. How deep does the rabbit hole go for a hybrid soldier, genetically manipulated, what have you? Do you think there are actual man-bear soldiers out there? Like I said, we're combining a few ideas tonight like we typically do, but it really begs the question here. If we have something known as a bear serum that can keep even the most, let's say, unmotivated couch potato swole AF without exercise, sort of like that hibernating bear, keeping your muscular fortitude throughout 5 to 7 months of hibernation. Well, what happens when you actually inject that into a person? And back to the idea here, they've done it. They've put it into human cells, and the human cells got swole. What are your thoughts here regarding war propaganda? Not just that, but what about hybrid soldiers? How deep does this go? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And what does all this mean? Super strange. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts. The Night Stalker, you're on Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. Here we go. Got a doozy tonight. Gonna be a wild one.
Here we go. Shout out to Derek here for sharing these articles and kind of stitching up the narrative here tonight. It seems like things are kind of lining up. Like I said, it almost seems like they're trying to tell us something, right?
Yeah. This is a classic synchromistic episode. Like it's like the way it formed is really pretty synchromistic. I was kind of in my half sleep, like should probably start to get up for work, but still kind of in a daze. Maybe I can get another half an hour of sleep kind of mode. And these links just like fell into my lap, honestly, it's seemingly. And then when Sweet Tooth came out on Netflix last year or 2 years ago or whatever, I was obsessed with the hybrid idea. So I'm strapped with hybrid links from the last like 2 years or whatever. But I don't know, it's pretty crazy, and especially the bear DNA thing happening around the same time as, or the same day, like you said, as the actual report. So I don't know. You're right as far as the propaganda is concerned. I mean, I don't know if it was Russia or Ukraine who made the claim, but one of these people, one of the sides at the beginning of the conflict claimed that UFO, like lightning from a UFO, helped them in battle, like helped attack the other side. I don't know which is which, but and then obviously they have the whole like magical occult war that's going on between them with all kind of sigils and weirdness, and now all of a sudden we have hybrids, you know. So before we toss them all in the blender and combine them, which I'm inevitably going to get to, let's kind of take it step by step first. Do I think the government or whoever, any government, would want to make super soldiers? Yes, 1,000%. As far as like in the zeitgeist, the show Rivers, I shut up Rivers, but she mentioned it in the chat. Compound V is like a major storyline in the Boys TV show that like was just on very recently. And this is like throughout the entire series, so it's not really a spoiler. But the heroes are fueled by something called Compound V that gives them their power, and they realize that it's actually like a corporation who's like the one who's actually making it happen. So in this case, they're creating superheroes. But that trope, like you said, is all over the place. Like every Spider-Man movie, basically, up until this Marvel one, is basically trying to figure out ways, mixing animal DNA with human DNA to create the perfect fighting machine, the perfect soldier, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it depends what kind of hybrid do you want. Do I think they're going to mix human and machine? Yeah. Do I think they're going to mix man and machine? I mean, like man and animal? Yeah. Animal machine? Yeah, definitely. Animal, man, and machine? Probably, you know? And then create these new Xenobot things from scratch, where it's like this biohybrids and synthetic techno-organic craziness. Like in 10 to 25 to 100 years, we're going to be seeing like, I don't know. It's almost like another singularity where we can't see beyond this point because the combinations are literally endless. So I'm rambling to kind of start with, but I have some threads. You want to chime in first real quick?
Yeah. Just, I think it is strange that once you start mixing all that stuff, like you said, so there's going to be this bio stuff mixing of Lord knows what and creating monsters, like literal monsters. We talk about this hybrid stuff often on this show, and not just in terms of like war, super soldier, killing machine type stuff. It is strange that you brought up and pertinent that you brought up to this conversation that like maybe there's going to be like a hybrid man bear like machine, like a Gundam robot, you know what I mean? Like all attached together. Where we're going to be in 50 years is a terrifying notion because all this stuff is coming together. And real quick on, you said like kind of doing the hybrids, what kind of hybrid do you want type of thing. It is, I mean, it's the mutants, right? I mean, this is the MCU. This is like comics. This is DC. This is all of it, right? So we're talking Spider-Man and the radioactive spider, right? I mean, what kind of mutant do you want? Go right ahead. What thread you got, my friend?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, and like as you were saying that, it reminded me like they're gonna, like I was thinking creating some kind of half man, half elephant, half like tank type thing. But then like why stop at an elephant when you can get like mastodon DNA or Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA or Titan DNA, like, or you know, like they're gonna be combining machine with man, with animal, with new synthetic being, with who knows what, you know. So that I mean, all right. So the threads before we run out of time here. From Forbes. This is from last May. So, Fox ran it. It went around a couple different sites, but I feel like it happened the same week as some UFO news. So I feel like it kind of went under the radar. Not on this show. We talked about it on this show, but every other show didn't talk about it. Here's a headline from Forbes. Senate kills GOP legislation to prohibit, quote, certain human-animal chimeras. And from the first paragraph, the U.S. Senate on Thursday voted along party lines to kill a Republican amendment to a technological development bill aimed at banning experiments to create, quote, certain types of human-animal chimeras which scientists use to further medical research over ethical concerns. So last year, almost a year ago, this thing came up in Senate to be like, no, we probably shouldn't do this. It's probably a bad idea. And they voted it down. Nope, sorry. It's still available. And then fast forward nearly exactly a year. Let me find this link here. I posted this when we were chatting earlier. So from May 10th of this year, 2022. This is from the Daily Star, so take it with a grain of salt, obviously. But the headline: the secret laboratory project to breed man-ape, quote, humanzy super soldiers. A very strange breeding project aimed to create hybrid animals with, quote, immense strength but with an underdeveloped brain that were, quote, resilient and resistant to hunger. I mean, and then the thing goes on to say, news of a mysterious hybrid monkey with DNA from two different species shook the science world this week. Yada yada, the monkey was spotted, and it made him think about in the 1920s, Soviet scientists in Russia were ordered by dictator Joseph Stalin to create a hybrid ape-man super soldier capable of working under extreme conditions too dangerous for ordinary humans. So not only like is it possible, do we think that they're doing this? Specifically, the Soviet Union was doing it as far back as the 1920s, so over 100 years ago. Well, I mean, literally 100 years ago, they were contemplating this. And I don't know. Seinfeld was joking about the pig man in the 90s. It was a comedy trope in the 90s. So I don't know. It's crazy. And then what else we got here? So I'm kind of rambling. What do you got? Save me. I'm trying to find my next note.
No, you're good. We did talk about this humanzy stuff, and we've even seen, like you said, Russia was doing this a long time ago, the Soviet Union, and and China is doing this. But like I said, we would be remiss if we don't mention that probably somewhere in some secret underground lab that we're doing it too. Like probably Canada's doing it. Like everybody's doing it, right? Because I mean, when you're talking about wartime, you're talking about advantages, and I know, like in modern terms, we don't really fight wars anymore with torches and pitchforks, right? Like it's become more of like a digital thing and sort of that digital domain, and one guy in Omaha with a joystick dropping a bomb on the Middle East type of stuff. I mean, that's what's going on now. But still, in terms of like, let's say, terrifying, what would you call it, psychological warfare, right? This is the type of stuff that, like, just like you said, back to 300, and that idea that they've got sorcerers and these monsters on their side on the battlefield, even if they're ineffective mostly, they still are terrifying. But yeah, fantastic. The humanzy. And go ahead.
I mean, like that is the narrative. Like that's been every time. Like I'm not really paying that much attention to the whole conflict, but every time it's kind of come up in my radar, it's been UFOs or crazy magicians, or Putin has some new like Nostradamus Rasputin character in his ear, to sigils happening, to a lot like to I don't know, just these weird letter Z's that are causing UFOs. I don't know. So it's pretty crazy. And then just before I leave, I mean, first, like synchronistically, this new variant, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but they named it after a mythical, it's called Centaurus, so it's named after a mythical hybrid, the king of the hybrids, basically, which is kind of a synchronicity. It's in the zeitgeist in that way. And then fast forward to the beginning of the virus, the whole Sweet Tooth show that really got me on the hybrid thing originally was all about like hybrid experimentations that actually like caused the whole pandemic that wiped out like everything. But then just to combine you mentioned one thing in the article about how they did it to try to get rid of the last like vestige of human consciousness within that person or whatever. So just for a second, combine this whole hybrid thing with the occult magical stuff. And like, even in the Bible, Jesus put demons into pigs, you know? So what happens when you get rid of the consciousness of a human? What happens when you mess with, are you messing with a soul in some way? Are you creating a vessel that, are they going to combine machine, man, animal, and demon, like an entity? Because when you are this hybrid, it creates the situation that allows better to become a vessel, or who knows? Like, I know one big conspiracy thread amongst like people is that what the elites are trying to do is create the conditions as it was, quote, in the days before Noah. Like they want hybrids running around. They want all these kind of crazy, quote unquote, abominations running around so that they can bring the next wave of the apocalypse, you know? I don't know, that's a lot. I'm just, I know I'm going to forget something, so I'm kicking myself already, but I'll let Matt come on. Wow show, Mike. Great stuff. Sorry for rambling.
No, you're good. I appreciate it. Thanks for inspiring the show. Thanks for sharing these articles. And thanks for throwing them all in a blender and considering all the possibilities. You're the best, bro.
Later, bro.
Have a great night. That's Derek the Night Stalker. Check it out. He's got a YouTube channel. Links in the description down below. Give him some love. He's got one video, and let's inspire him to do more. He's he takes his break from work to call us, and I appreciate that very much. So always great stuff from Derek. We're talking about this idea, and I know it sounds ridiculous when you talk about a man-bear hybrid soldier. I know it sounds ridiculous. We are taking a few ideas, throwing it into the blender, and considering this. Like I said, there is war propaganda. No, you're fine, Derek. No, absolutely no rambling. You're like I said, one man's rambles is another man's treasures, right? It's all good. It's totally good. So back to this real quick. Yahoo News. Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs. All right, there's that. Okay, but then we've got this other thing. Okay, so secret biolabs, injections. What are they like? What kind of stuff are they doing? Within 24 hours, we have this other article come out from, and it's from Japan, right? But still, scientists are doing this. Scientists supercharge human muscle cells by injecting them with bear serum. Yeah, all right. So I don't know. If you're going to say, well, we're going to create the most terrifying super soldier to remove human consciousness, so they're just killing machines and have no remorse and are just kick doors in and slaughter babies, right? Well, and I mean that in cartoon terms, not real terms. Everybody relax. But right, if that's the case, and that's what let's say. So that's the question. Do you think stuff like this is going on in secret underground labs? That's the question. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Matt in Colorado. Thanks for being patient with Derek and myself. Go right ahead. You're on Troubled Minds.
Yeah. Hey, Michael. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
All right. Well, just in the general topic, well, before I get to that, great call from the Night Stalker there. He brought up interesting things and packed a lot into a little bit of time. And I'll come back and touch on a couple of things he brought up. But just in general, there's some that's been bugging me for months now with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I don't understand this. Can somebody explain to me why they're just getting their butts kicked so bad? Why are they losing? I mean, if you ask anybody, 6 months ago, who are the three biggest superpowers in the world? Everybody's going to say the United States, China, and Russia. Okay, so these are supposedly one of the three world superpowers, and they can't invade Ukraine. Now, I don't mean to say that Ukraine's necessarily a pushover. It's a big country, And since the invasions into Crimea and those regions, the United States has been supplying their military a lot of stuff. But come on, compared to Russia, you wouldn't think they could put up a much of a fight. And, in the beginning of the invasion, everybody's like, yeah, the capital city's going to fall in like 2 weeks or whatever. And then they had that long string of tanks that got stalled on the highway. And I don't understand how this went so horribly wrong for Russia. I'm glad it did. Don't get me wrong. But was it like incompetence? Was it they were overzealous, poor planning? The troops didn't want to fight because they had low morale. They're invading fellow countrymen because it's only 20 miles away. They had relatives that lived there. I mean, what is the reason that this went so horribly wrong? And the point of that is maybe there is something there. Like I had heard stories too, like Derek brought up about UFOs, possibly on the Ukraine side. And, that could be advanced military technology from, the United States or something like that came into play. But was there, what happened here? It baffles me. And so it kind of makes sense that Russia would come up with either something between an excuse or propaganda, or maybe a part of reality that they encountered something that they weren't planning for and ready for. And, in terms of the Biolabs in Ukraine, that story came out, months ago and was kind of a big story. And there was a lot of poo-pooing on it by the United States for a while. And then it came out, no, there are biolabs there. And they were originally created, when it was part of the Soviet Union. And they were trying to create things for, defenses against biological weaponry, which means they had biological weapons there. And God knows what else they were doing in those biolabs. Maybe they were doing DNA research. Maybe they were creating things for super soldiers. And like Derek said, generally speaking, our militaries in any country in the world that's a military power, are they trying to create super soldiers? And Derek said, 1,000%. Of course they are. Whatever they can do to create a military advantage. So, back in the day, 20 years ago, I played this video game called Mech Warriors. And they had these giant mechanized robots that were 80 feet tall, and you would drive one around. And, now they're doing these kind of, it's sort of a RoboCop sort of military exoskeleton sort of stuff. And yeah, maybe alter their DNA a little bit. You throw in some bear juice, right? And
right. Hey, we got to get this right. Let's get the terms appropriate. It's bear serum. Sorry,
chat said bear juice. So the bear serum, and you get a little exoskeleton or a big exoskeleton, like you were saying, the elephant, and throw in some woolly mammoth, and of course they're working on maximizing the, killing effectiveness. And, they spend a ton of money training a soldier, costs a lot of money, and Air Force pilots and everything like that. And it's a very expensive thing. So anything they can do to maximize their advantage, they're going to do. So your question of how deep does the super soldier / rabbit / bear hole go? I think it goes pretty deep. I think it goes way deeper than anything we know. I think they've probably been doing stuff with DNA. They've obviously been doing stuff with drugs for, 50, 60 years, like you were saying, back to World War II. They've got newer drugs, better drugs. And, from the article that you read, what Russia was claiming was to create these soldiers that had, like, no conscience, right? No conscience, no consciousness, no remorse. And yeah, of course that's what they want. And, back in World War II, they found out that the guys wouldn't fire their weapons. They felt bad about killing people, and then they started giving them more lifelike targets, and then they started coming out with video games, and they want to have people that are soldiers that have no remorse. And if they can do that chemically, or they could do that with DNA, or they could create some kind of super soldier that's a combination of no remorse plus superpowers, super strength, of course they're going to do that. Absolutely. Like Derek said, 1,000%. They're on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this idea then of this bear serum. Now, the thing that I kind of didn't get to regarding that article, it's interesting that they're saying with whatever this bear serum they have, they've isolated this compound within the bear physiology, and they're able to give it to human cells, and it sort of gives them like musculature. They get beefy, right? Now this is a little frightening. I mean, like I said, couch potatoes rejoice, right? You just get swole, in the gym. Take you a few months to get kind of beefy, and then you just take the bear serum, and you can binge Netflix all you want and stay swole, man. What do you think?
That's what I think. I think I was more active in the past. I'm getting a little older. I'm like, can I order it online yet? Is it available? I'm going to jack that stuff up. I don't care if it's FDA approved. Send me some. I'll get that stuff. And I think that bear serum could kind of just be an analogy for any type of drugs. DNA manipulation. It could even be artificial intelligence enhancements. I mean, have you seen soldiers today? With their heads-up display and their night vision and all the technology they've got. I mean, these guys are already, to a degree, super soldiers. When they're going over there and they're fighting some guy in Afghanistan or Iraq or something like that, who's just a dude with an AK-47. I mean, our guys are so high tech. We already got all that stuff, and to think of the bear serum, generally speaking, and the Russians, yeah, of course they've probably been experimenting with creating super soldiers in any number of ways, and probably ways we can't even imagine and think of and conceive of, and we're just sitting here going, yeah, did they do this with their DNA or did they do that? And let's remember that Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, so they could have been having, like they had those labs there, Russia could have had a super soldier campaign and program and developing those in Ukraine. And then once Ukraine, fell out of the Soviet Union, they maintained it and they continued to develop it. So that's possible. I mean, that's some maybe juice right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we do. Just combining some ideas tonight, guys, and wondering how deep does the rabbit hole go with not just super soldiers, but how is it changing? And again, it's interesting that we have sort of this Star Wars parallel of, they created these robot armies in the original prequels, those first three movies the part 1, 2, and 3. And then when they became, let's say, the droids weren't as great as actual people, then they created the clone armies, right? So interesting, we're kind of sort of in this sort of similar phase with warfare and with what modern, let's say, modern killing machines look like. Fantastic stuff as always. You're the best, my friend. Matt here in Colorado, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. He's got a book. Check it out. Links in the description. It's called Escape the Matrix and Explore Reality, a guide to radical transformation and empowerment. There's some coupon codes down there for some free copies. Please go give that a look. And Matt, always a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being patient with Night Stalker and myself. And you were the best. Have a fantastic night, my friend.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on the show, Mike. It's always my pleasure. Have a great show, and you're the best.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it very much. What do you guys think regarding this bear serum? What about the idea of super soldiers? What about 50 years from now? What does the battlefield of the future look like? And is it going to be woolly mammoth DNA mixed with the bear serum and, of course, a robot exoskeleton? You tell me. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Man Bear Pigs and your calls when we return. Be right back.
You're listening to Troubled Minds. Join us as we discuss an upside-down world that nobody seems to notice.
We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are developing random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So we got, all right, so
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is a Tuesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Hey, like I said, if nobody's talking about man-bear pigs, nobody's doing it. So somebody's got to do it. Because, of course, right, we've got this interesting news cycle that just happened that seems to be very synchronistic of the bear. Not just the Russian bear, symbolically speaking, in that Ukraine war going on. But what about the idea of bear serum? Or let's say, I don't know, steroids, but kind of keeping people swole without exercise, right? Because of course, right, we got this article from Futurism. It's pretty wild, right? And the brief is this. Scientists supercharge human muscle cells by injecting them with bear serum. And the thing is, with bears in particular, they hibernate for 5 to 7 months out of the year, and they have this ability to maintain their muscle mass, even though they're asleep, literally, legitimately asleep for months at a time. And the ultimate couch potato, right? And so we're talking about humans. If you're able to take this bear serum and actually inject it into human beings, well, what kind of monster do you get, right? And then, of course, we've got this idea of this is from Yahoo News. Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs, right? It seems like synchronistically, this all is really bizarre. Really bizarre. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss this. Yeah. You heard me. I said man, bear, pig. You guys, you guys, fans of South Park. That's what we're talking about tonight, okay? And not only the man, bear hybrid soldier, and what does the future of warfare look like, and how deep does this rabbit hole go? That's really the question. And do you think this is possible that maybe they're going to be using this on soldiers in the future? And we've seen stuff now where they were using amphetamines to hype them up and make sure soldiers didn't sleep and all the rest of that, so they could be killing machines around the clock type stuff. As far back as who knows. I mean, even by the way, interestingly on that, I came across something recently. You guys have heard of the Viking berserkers, right? Well, they said one of the theories is that the reason why Viking berserkers were so feared is because they took some sort of substance, and I can't remember if it was. There's a few theories on what the substance may be, whether it was psilocybin, mushrooms, or some other things that kind of lessened their pain threshold, and so they would charge into battle and sort of not be subject to like the pain of battle, and then they just seemed like they were gods of the battlefield. So interestingly, right, we're talking about super soldiers going way back to even the days of like the Viking berserkers in terms of whether it's hallucinogenics or whether it's some sort of I don't know, maybe not injections back then, but maybe they ate some wacky weed and suddenly boom, berserkers, right? So I don't know, there's a lot to this. As you know, we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. What do you think about this man, bear, pig, the man, bear hybrid soldier? What about the idea of labs, secret labs creating, I don't know, whatever the future may need for a battlefield? So you can give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And just like this, let's go to James in Michigan. What's up? Salcedo Paranormal. What's up, my friend? How are you tonight?
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go right ahead. What do you know about man, bear, pigs, James? Help.
I know nothing, but I think you and maybe someone else mentioned already the idea of mutations or mutants, and there are characters within Marvel, the comics. I'm not as familiar with the movies, but that they are already, because of mutations, they are already animal-like. Whether it's, in the couple of cases I know for sure, they're almost like wolf-like, or even werewolf-like. But it's not anything supernatural, it's a natural mutation. And this is just making me think, if that is something that could happen naturally, how do we know that any lab or these scientists couldn't find ways or figure out ways to speed up that mutation in people who maybe already seem to have animalistic qualities or traits, and see what happens with them?
Yeah, but kind of like the old mutants, right? Like the old X-Men, where they're hunting the mutants because they find them a threat, and they're trying to like give them some sort of serum to maybe dampen their powers. But couldn't you do the opposite? If there was something you could tap into, maybe you could give them a serum, this bear serum, or something similar to kind of maybe enhance those powers as a natural thing. Yeah, I like the idea, man. Why not? And oddly enough, there's some. I was looking for bear superheroes, and you would be surprised, James. There's quite a few bear superheroes. I'll get to a list of those, but maybe you know some yourself. But go ahead, back to your thoughts there.
Yeah, not offhand, but I'm not as up to date and all that as I used to be. But just thinking of the labs. I mean, again, someone else mentioned it in the chat already. The whole Weapon X program, which, like as I said in the chat too, the X is not just the letter X. That's Weapon 10. In other words, there have been in the comics universe, there have been these experiments going on since World War II, and a series of these projects. I believe it was called Weapon Plus program, that have experimented on people and even mutants later on to enhance their abilities and figure out how to take control of them. That's a big part of Wolverine from the X-Men comics. That's a big part of his history. So it's that is a thing in the comics, and it just makes sense that they'd be there. and there'd be labs doing that, looking into that kind of stuff now. Maybe, who knows how far along they are, but and just the idea of these mutations, just going back real quick to the comics again, there's one character that experimented on himself for various reasons. Beast from the X-Men. If you look at the history of that character, he has gone through a few different appearances over the years, and that's just one character. So I'm guessing, labs from all these years and going into the future, it would only get easier and easier to, especially with more understanding of DNA, to just make whatever they want.
Yeah, and that's the terrifying thing when you're talking about not just super soldiers, but these chimeras or hybrids, or even like the CRISPR babies that we're talking about, designer babies and whatnot. If you're able to just sort of pre-birth, right, pre-consciousness, be able to just gene edit things and create whatever the hell you want, the future is going to be a scary place. Let's say that. And who knows? Maybe it's not scary at all. Maybe they just eradicate all the diseases and that's that, right? But I don't know. Like usual, as we always say, kind of playing God, it doesn't ever seem to really shake out so well, does it? Real quick too, there's this. This is Derek dropped this in. I'll read a little bit from this after you get off here. But I want to read the headline. It's from CNET, and this is from back in January of 2017. Headline is this: Awesome Man Bear stars in a trailer for Russian superhero movie. Forget werewolves, upcoming Russian action movie Guardians features a werebear superhero as part of a team of superhumans. There you go. There's your man bear. We just need a pig, James. Maybe he's eating breakfast and he's got some bacon or something. I don't know. There's your pig. I don't. Weird though, right? It's like, okay, we got Russian, we got man bear, we got the superhero like you're talking about, sort of the mutant type thing, and a collection of superheroes known as the Guardians. Weird. It all seems to come together, doesn't it?
It does. If it hasn't already, then I think it will in time. It's just a matter of time. So, and yeah, there could be positive results, but that's the thing with all these kind of experimentations. There could be both, and the negative, you just have to really keep track of the negative, I guess, and hopefully manage it in a good way, which not everyone seems to be so good at doing that. So that's the scary part. But maybe things will change, hopefully, someday.
Yeah, I mean, let's like I said, let's hope for the best, prepare for the worst, as they say, right? There it is. What else you got, my friend?
I think that was it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. James here, a good friend of mine, good friend of the show. He has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Check it out. Links in the description down below. He does 3 nights a week live. He does them very much like this, where you can jump in his Discord and listen to him as he records these stories of paranormal. He does book reviews, including like Lovecraft and Stephen King. He does paranormal news as well, and he has Derek and Jennifer on there from time to time. And go check it out. Give James some love. Again, download some things. Follow the YouTube channel. All the links are in the description down below. It's got a link tree. James has a link tree, and he's got books. He writes books as well. He's an author. So all that stuff is in the link down below. Give James some love. Like I said, good dude. He is the glue of this show. He makes it go around. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks a lot. You too. There you go. We're talking about the man bear pig. Not really. I mean, the South Park is kind of a LOL type thing, the man bear pig, right? But what about this man bear hybrid? Now, just reframe this where we started, right? We began with this article from Yahoo News via the Daily Beast. Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs. Oh, this is fine, right? This is fine. And it goes on to say that there's some weirdness to this, because they said that they've got these odd here we go, performance enhancing drugs, they're calling it, that they've given to the Ukrainian soldiers in order to completely neutralize the last traces of human consciousness and turn them into the most cruel and deadly monsters. All right, that's straight from the article here. And again, it is, like I said, a grain of salt because it is Russian propaganda, but it's right there in the article. They're claiming that, hey, there's these super soldiers, they're injecting them with this stuff, they're calling it performance-enhancing drugs, right? And so we're like, okay, this was weird enough on its own. And the way this comes together, with that whole synchro mysticism bit, is, like Derek said, you kind of roll out of bed, you're blurry-eyed looking at the news, and like, it all pops out at you. So we start with Russia. We start with this idea of performance-enhancing drugs to create monsters on the battlefield, like killers, stone-cold killers without human consciousness or remorse, right? So there's that. But then on top of that, we have within, again, the same 24-hour news cycle, we've got this article from Futurism. And again, back to the symbolism of the Russian and the bear. Well, we have this, back to the man-bear-pig. Scientists supercharge human muscle cells by injecting them with bear serum. Okay? Interesting, right? So we got this weird sort of connection just between these two articles here. But then the rabbit hole goes deep because we've always talked about MK Ultra. We've talked about secret labs. We've talked about super soldiers, mutants and things like this, meaning like sort of mutants from like the Marvel universe. Like how much of this stuff is actually going on? I mean, what about 11 from Stranger Things? That's the Montauk Project and again, an offshoot of MK Ultra. Some of this real government stuff, right, that they've really worked on in the past. It makes you wonder, like, what the hell is really going on? So let's go back to this article real fast. The bear serum. And this is the craziest part, right? Let's see. A team of researchers from the university published a study on their findings in the journal PLOS One earlier this year. Quote, hibernating animals are likely better described to be under the no use but no lose phenomenon, meaning that there is a potential resistance to muscle atrophy during continued disuse conditions. And that just means bears hibernate for 5 to 7 months out of the year, and they still stay buffed, right? They don't lose their muscle density. It says scientists still don't know exactly what causes the proteins and compounds in bear muscles to react to hibernation the way they do, but the answer could be key to improving the quality of life for humans. Quote, by identifying this factor in hibernating bear serum and clarifying the unexplored mechanism behind muscles that do not weaken even without use in hibernating animals, it is possible to develop effective rehabilitation strategies in humans to prevent becoming bedridden in the future, right? It says, sure, getting jacked and lifting a ton of weights is cool, but maybe someday we'll be able to supercharge our muscles in a whole new way. And so, yeah, maybe. You see how these things kind of come together in a weird way. And so there's other stuff too regarding, so talking about news cycles and talking about the way this stuff kind of works when you're looking at it and like things jumped out at you. Like last night we did dragons. Like I said, dragons are all over the news cycle right now. Why? I don't know. Like, is it a coincidence? Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's not. But here's the thing, too, regarding bears. So not just again, this is from CNET, the awesome man-bear stars in a trailer for Russian superhero movie. This is, again, from Derek, and he linked this in the chat a little bit earlier. Fans of US-based superhero flicks will see some similarities here, like the one female superhero, the team who fights a lot like Black Widow from the Avengers. And it's talking about the Werebear, right? The Guardians, the upcoming Russian action movie. And this is from 2017, so I don't know if they ever released this or not. Maybe they did and it was a flop. But anyway, it says, let's focus on the Werebear, which elevates this footage from action-packed superhero trailer into the realm of sublime fabulousness. Part human, part bear, this hairy superhero can go from all bear to human Ursidae hybrid. What does that mean? He jumps on a gun battery, smacks bad guys around, and wields a massive machine gun, and crams his furry butt into a crowded elevator. I could watch this all day, right? And so there it is, right? And okay, so there's some bear synchronicity. Here's another one, right? Here's another super weird one that just kind of popped out of the news cycle. I was just kind of remembering what I saw in the last day or so, and it dawned on me as we were starting this tonight that this actually hit the news cycle as well. This is from what is this? Register. This is from the Orange County Register. Northern California woman victim of rare predatory grizzly attack. All right, rare. It's rare. Right, but again, we got the Russian symbolism of the bear. We got these weird, this weird accusation by the Russians about the Ukrainians and this experimental mutant troops and Biolabs. And then we have in the very same news cycle. This is from today. July 19th. Yep, indeed. Listen to this. A California woman who was fatally mauled by a grizzly bear in western Montana last summer was the victim of a rare predatory attack by a bear that had learned to seek out human food and was likely attracted to scents near her tent and others left behind from recent Independence Day picnics, wildlife officials said. Leah Davis Loken, 65, of Chico, was pulled out of her tent and mauled in the pre-dawn hours of July 6th 2021. That's an interesting day there, July 6th. Anyway, well, if you listen to this show, you know what I'm talking about. Along the banks of the Blackfoot River, made famous by the movie A River Runs Through It. So this hit today. So interestingly, right? So this happened a year ago, but for some reason, it hit the news cycle now, and again, a rare predatory grizzly attack. It's strange. It's just strange how some of this stuff kind of actually happens. What's going on, guys? I see there in the chat. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking about the idea of super soldiers, the man-bear hybrid, whatever this is, the man-bear-pig. Like I said, if we're not talking about the man-bear-pig, nobody's talking about the man-bear-pig. So we have to do the thing, right? We have to do the thing. We have to do this. So what do you think? The question tonight is this. There's a few questions. How deep does the rabbit hole go regarding super soldiers? What do you think the future looks like in the battlefield? Like we've talked about technomancers in the past, and maybe like controlling drone swarms with your mind, right? What about that? What about a bear doing it? What about a bear hybrid, man-bear-pig hybrid with a technomancer drone swarm? Maybe, is this the future? You tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Now, I was going through some other stuff here, looking at these bear superheroes, right? And seeing if there's maybe some syncs here regarding any of this. And I found this. This is pretty interesting. This is from the Marvel database. And if you guys aren't into Marvel comics, well, listen to this. This is pretty nuts. This is a hero by the name of the Bear, all right? And it's from Earth 616, and this is, yeah, wouldn't you know it, in Tunguska, 1908, of course, that's Russia. That's Russia. The Deathwalkers gathered to perform a ritual using the talisman of Kamar Taj, their first attempt at creating a powerful hybrid between beast and a human. The procedure went awry, and the resulting blast created the Bear, a creature with too much of both a bestial and a human side. Throughout the years, the Deathwalkers tried to capture the Bear and use her for sacrifice, but she always got away, principally thanks to her developed fascination for explosives. Boom. Here we go. The Bear was later one of the many people Howard Stark resorted to in order to form a team which would accomplish the task of stealing an android from a casino run by aliens called Greys. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. So this person, the individual, the superpowers of the Bear, this individual known as the Bear, she can actually transform from a person to a bear, and it was created in Russia in Tunguska, 1908, which again, as we all know, is that big the big explosion in the forest, and right, and so interestingly, we have this circular idea of the bear, or Russia, this whole hybridization thing, and this is old. I think this is an old comic story. So what the hell is really going on with this? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Other than I think it's fascinating to think about, and where the future of battle is actually going to be. What's up? DJ says she's a badass. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I'm not familiar with her particular storyline, but I did find it fascinating that there is a superhero in the Marvel universe known as the Bear that's just a shapeshifter. And you know, there's some other ideas too regarding hybrid bears. So my brother-in-law, he just sent me a text. He's all, hey Mike, what's up with bear soldiers, right? He's making fun of me. But the thing is, there's some interesting syncs regarding. So in this case, right, we're talking about a shape-shifting bear. In the other case, with that Guardians superhero, it was a werebear, right? Which of course is from Dungeons and Dragons. It's like a werewolf, except it's a werebear. It's like a hybrid sort of thing that, the werewolf legend is you change into a wolf by the full moon. Well, a werebear would be similar with something to the effect of, let's say just a bear instead of a wolf, right? But of course, the werebear is made famous by good old-fashioned Dungeons and Dragons, right? Dungeons and Dragons. And so interestingly, right, again, my brother-in-law making fun of me, he's like, is that like a werebear or like an owl bear or like a bugbear, right? And those are all Dungeons and Dragons critters based on bear hybrid somethings, whether that's magic spells or whether that's rituals or whether that's secret underground laboratories. So what do you know about this? Again, like I said, it's a little bit out there, of course, because we like to mix some ideas and be a little bit out there on Troubled Minds, because if we don't, nobody's gonna. But back to this idea, bear serum. Do you think this is possible? what happens to a future when we actually are able to inject ourselves with this stuff that's, well, basically the ultimate performance-enhancing drug? Yep, again, Dungeons and Dragons. These syncs with Dungeons and Dragons just come fast and furious. But what do you think? Like I said, it is. I do get that this is a little silly to combine all these things. But some of the synchronicity here with the timing of the news cycle and this man-bear hybrid soldier, the Russian bear accusing the Ukraine of having performance-enhancing drugs, super soldiers, with no remorse and no human consciousness. What the hell is going on out there? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Man Bear Pigs and your calls when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss the idea of super soldiers. Not just super soldiers, we've got Russia claiming that Ukrainian soldiers are hopped up on some sort of chemical that makes them remorseless, without consciousness, killing machines. What the world is going on? And in the same breath, we have an article from Futurism that describes something known as bear serum. And what does that mean? Well, it means that when bears hibernate, they keep their muscle mass, even though they hibernate for 5 to 7 months of the year. So they're saying that with this bear serum, whatever, they don't really understand the mechanism that makes this happen just yet, but they're saying that if they can inject this into humans or put it into human cells, well, we'll get swole, right? We'll get buff without even, or at least retain our buff without any kind of gym work, right? How do you like that? Hey, who doesn't want to be buffed with doing none of the work? But I mean, maybe it'll turn you into a bear. I don't know. What are your thoughts here regarding, let's say, super soldiers, regarding man bear pigs, regarding all the rest of this? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And let's go to Joseph in Iowa. You're on Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead. How are you?
Hey, I'm all right. So I was thinking, like, the Russians were the ones that had all the tech after World War II, weren't they?
Yeah, so they got some of it.
The Nazis and stuff.
Yeah, so I think, interestingly, I'm glad you brought that up. So we got the rocket tech, but I think the Russians took most of the biological tech from the Nazis and some of that experimentation. But yeah, you were absolutely correct there. They did peel some of that off the Nazis after World War II.
Yeah, it's like they're just bringing it up, like, into the news cycle, like, just to, like, if you didn't know this exists, well, it does, kind of thing, And I was thinking, like, consciousness, like without, like, a consciousness, I wonder if they're able to, like, tap into, like, the zone, like what people get into when they're in survival mode, or like a lot of people, like a sports kind of zone, like a lot of people in sports, they can't even describe what they're doing. They just move. And like, that could be like what the conscious or list, I don't know how to say it even, the consciousness, or I can't even say it right now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So that sports zone, right? It's sort of like that muscle memory of you kind of just lock into that pattern and just do the thing, and just you just like kick ass, like Steph Curry when he's locked in, just hitting threes from all over the court, right? That type of thing. It's like you can't explain how to do it; you just do it. And so, interestingly, in that sense, is that what a unconscious killing machine would be like on the battlefield? That's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, that is, like, because I mean, people have, like, are pretty powerful, but And then I was thinking oh, what was I thinking? I was just about to say something. Dang it. Yeah, I don't really know. Oh yeah, there could be like layers. Like it could go deeper than just like the human ability. Like it could be like I read a book one time, like it was a long time ago. And they were describing people like dropping. I think it was like the main character. He would fall to the ground before the bomb hit the ground. Like he would just know before, and like that would be impossible even if you're in the zone to know if like a bomb is going to hit before it hits, you know? So maybe when you tap into these zone layers, it can like see slightly different timelines, almost like a prediction running, like your dreams in real time or something.
Yeah, it could be. And so I don't know. I think when you sort of start mixing this idea of consciousness into that zone or the battlefield or these hybrids of, these unconscious killing machines, things get weird, man. Things get weird because we're talking about like what Derek was saying too. Like, what does the future look like here? If we're doing like a hybridization of maybe bear serum in soldiers with like this transhumanism thing, and like everything's locked in. I don't know, why not woolly mammoth DNA while we're at it, and have these like giant like mechanized with Neuralink woolly mammoths stomping in the battlefield with like drone swarms, right? I mean, think about like it's probably not too far off, and that's the wild stuff right there, isn't it?
They'd probably rather do that than what I'm talking about, because if you start messing with the zone stuff, I mean, you could create some kind of human that can't be controlled, and that can easily get out too, because like you can create something that just blends, like almost like it becomes a problem, but if you got like a man bear pig, like like, oh, there's that man bear pig, like clearly a man bear pig.
Yeah, right. Hey, and the man bear pig. It's funny. It's funny, and I think that's the craziest part about this. I mean, it is funny, but also like we're sort of tantalizingly close to really scary times in the future, depending on what they're doing with this type of technology, right? And these sort of new breakthroughs, pretty wild stuff. What else you got, my friend?
Well, like there is that theory that like we are created like that, and we did like take over or something. Like maybe like we were created by like Neanderthals and stuff, and then like we were like, oh man, like we're done with them, and then took them out because they were a threat. That could happen to us easily. And like it doesn't even have to be a conscious thing. It could just be like, I think a couple callers said like a virus that manifests off of something that isn't natural. Or an actual thing. I mean, it'd be kind of hard for something to take us over by force the way we're built up right now. But if they get a whole country, then that's a problem.
Yeah, indeed. And again, we're even coming to sort of a future where like borders are interesting in terms of sort of like the digital transcension of borders with the internet and stuff. It's like at some point borders mean less and less in that sense, with sort of this digital domain of the new battlefield. So who knows, man? Who knows? Good stuff here. Good thoughts as always. I appreciate it very much. What else you got?
Yeah, that talking about like digital, like you're talking about a subhuman that's can like tap into like the deep psychology of a person, like let's say like a super psychologist soldier on the internet out there, like that could be a problem in the future too.
Yeah, but 100%.
I don't know like what they could do though. I don't know like how like the word, like what you could do. The power of word is strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But them layers, like, okay, so one time I was climbing a cliff with friends, and the rock above fell, and I was in the zone. Like the only thing I remember was like a deep thud, like almost like earth, the earth kind of move, but like I moved from where I was, and like I had a bloody hand, but I don't remember anything. Like, how would I know? Like, looking back at it, I really never knew how I knew which direction to move, It's almost like as I went up to it, I built that in my head, a map. And as it happened, I went into the zone, the time slowed down. And I used what I had to move. And it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like a dream. Like you can like tap into to a different, and it's not you moving you. I mean, it's you, but it's not like the conscious you.
Yeah, kind of like a sixth sense, right? Like you're able to kind of tap into like the universe around you without like thinking about it. It back to that sports being locked into that same idea of, being like super aware, almost like a superpower, like part of that like elevated level of consciousness.
I mean, I think it could become like if you can lock someone in that state, I don't know what like that person would be, Would they just be like a gnat?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Going around reacting and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think that in quantum terms, that would be like sort of a heightened state of like superposition, kind of in able to see all the things at once and then kind of react based on where you need to be, right? Yeah, wild stuff, man. I love the thoughts as always. You were the best, my friend.
Yep.
Appreciate the phone call. That's Joseph.
Yeah, that's basically it, man.
Okay. Thanks for the thoughts. Good stuff as always. Joseph, you're a good friend of mine, good friend of the show. He's got a YouTube channel called Iowa Walks. He's a talented musician. Check it out. He does original music and whatnot and live streams. Links in the description. Appreciate the phone call, Joseph. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic night, my friend. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're talking about this idea of the man-bear-pig. Not really. Just to clarify, the man-bear-pig is a joke from South Park. It's funnier when you say pig. More funny. But the thing is this. We're talking about a man-bear hybrid, okay? Because, of course, it started like this. We've got this news from, this is from via the Daily Beast in Yahoo News. Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs, all right? And that's the weird one. You're like, what? What the hell's going on with this? And so they're saying that in some of their prisoners of war that they've got, they're doing tests on their blood and determining that they've got some weird something that makes them unconscious killers, remorseless killing machines, right? Well, okay, fine. Sure, fine. War propaganda, probably. But still, it makes you wonder if this type of stuff is actually going on to get an edge in the battlefield. Then we have this. We have futurism reports in the same day. Again, this is where you get these weird syncs, right? So we've got the Russian bear accusing Ukraine of this weird sort of serum that they're using to create super soldiers. But then we get this news out of Japan in the same day regarding bears and bear serum. Again, back to the Russian bear. It's a weird cyclical thing. But scientists supercharge human muscle cells by injecting them with bear serum. What the hell's going on here? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. You're on Troubled Minds. Are you there, my friend?
Yeah. How's the connection?
Sounds great.
Right?
Yep, sounds great. Go right ahead. Are we too far off the rails tonight, Jennifer?
Oh, it's weird, Mike. It's a weird idea. They're losing. Like, they feel like they're losing. They have an upper hand over there because their soldiers are part bear or something, or they have some type of monster serum or something. This is unbelievably weird when you think about it. I mean, with all the technology and all the weapons and everything, but somehow just having this bear serum, or maybe not bear serum, but some type of super soldier serum of some type, that would be enough in the individual soldier to kind of calm the helms of confidence in the battlefield. I guess it is a terrifying idea. And I was thinking, you think about the half animal, half human hybrid notion anyway. Like the Senecephaly and everything, back in the ancient times when they were talking about the Senecephaly, which were like these half dog, half human, half wolf, half human, some type of hybrid animal, Canaan and human. And that these were like ferocious warriors too, and they were terrifying. They would, attack with their faces, and they were like fearless, and they had hands and arms, so they could also use weapons. And they were just incredible, and people were terrified of them, and they were just ravaging the countryside. And this comes up over and over again, like you mentioned the berserker thing, and with the Vikings, well, the Norse, and they're talking about the berserker, that goes on and on, where they talk about that kind of shape-shifting energy of the soldiers taking on that persona of some type of animal, which in those cases, like you mentioned, that they may have been taking some type of substance, or they may have been kind of invoking the spirit of the animal or something. I don't know either. But when you consider this idea, or even the Minotaur, like the very strange cases of these different creatures that were half human, half animal, and how dangerous they were, because it's not so much that the human has the animal aspect. It's also, too, the counter of that the animal, these very impressive creatures, like a bear, for example, if they were to have an edge with human intelligence, oh my gosh, what would that do? The same thing with the idea of, like, the Dogman encounters, where you have these enormous creatures, that are like because humans are considered an apex predator, right? We're considered apex predator already. But if you top that off with these other predatorial creatures, or just the ferociousness, or the power of them, must be very impressive. It makes me wonder, though, about all the stories in history about like the centaur, even, or they're part horse, but they have the upper torso of like a human being. And they're always depicted, of course, with the bow and arrow and everything, which just makes sense off of the actual astrological aspect. But I really want to believe that there were literally these creatures prancing around across the fields and such, existing, like the idea of the fawn. Really so deep in the human psyche, it does make you kind of wonder. And it's mentioned in the Bible, the satyrs, that these are fawns, basically, like half-hoofed creature, half human, and that they were playing a really prominent role in humanity in general. So on the battlefield, it makes perfect sense to me that it's possible that they would definitely be doing this, but it's so strange because with all the drugs and everything, and all the chemicals they could come up with, that they would intentionally go the direction of putting part of an animal into a human to make the same type of result. It's really strange.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I think part of the interesting thing here is that, we talk about like a sixth sense, like Joseph was kind of talking about being locked into the zone, or sort of this heightened level of, like a spider sense, like a superhero type of power. Well, dogs have this. Like there are, different parts of the animal kingdom where they do have sort of these, super senses of smell, or, just this alert that people do not have. So it makes sense. It tracks that they would be trying to sort of combine these things to create, well, the superposition human, or right? I mean, it tracks. That this is what's going on, right? Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah. Well, because think about, okay, so what you just said, and then you think about the idea that these animals, okay, for example, a bear. Oh my God! Like, if you gave a bear, like, by putting them with a human being in some way, like through CRISPR, genetic manipulation in some way, like, what this would do is make the human, not the human more bear-like, but like, if the bear aspect was more prominent, I mean, you're going to be more human than bear, obviously, but just the aspect of the horror of like giving a bear human consciousness, already knowing what they kind of are, they wouldn't become more human, They're trying to make the bear more human by putting it into the human. So, like, I mean, underneath this idea. But to fathom the idea, I mean, we could be taken out if you were to have a whole population of any of these type of creatures. And that's interesting, because when you think about these creatures of old in mythology and stuff, maybe that's the case. Maybe they're like, oh my God, this is terrifying. We got to wipe them all out. Like in the case of the satyr and the fawns and all these different types of creatures, perhaps they did. Perhaps they went across the countryside, stalked them all down, and put them all down, or like hunted them down like the cynocephali, and there are none left. Or maybe there are a few, or maybe they bred with some human beings somehow because these were half human, half canines. I have no idea. There's a whole storyline with this in popular fiction, but I don't know. It's amazing to think that if you just across the universe, like not the universe, but across the planet itself, if you think about all the creatures, and if you were to make an ultimate creature, like an ultimate, not just soldier, but a creature in general, by mixing the best of each thing, what you would come up with. And if they're doing this stuff with genetic manipulation and CRISPR, I have no doubt that they have tried it. You know, like if they have these underground bases and stuff, it makes sense to me that they may be doing things like this. And there have been stories like the Montauk Monster, where there was like some type of creature that washed up that people were like, oh my God, from Montauk, you know, New York, that there was some type of experimentation going on where they were making these hybrid creatures. And then you have like the Island of Dr. Monroe idea, which there's always some kind of truth in fiction, like in a way, or the best fiction is anyway. So it does make me wonder what they get up to and what may be lurking, you know, that they would have to keep away from society. But sometimes if it were to like eke out into society and somehow blend into society, I don't know. It's terrifying to imagine that, or actually it's really interesting to imagine, kind of.
Yeah, and that rabbit hole does go deep because, like we said, they've been doing this forever. And again, if you go back and look at the very, very earliest times, they were back to the berserkers, like you were saying, and like I brought up earlier, like there has always been this sort of like press humans to be greater than human. And well, how do you do that with CRISPR? And here's the thing. Here's how we wrap all this up, Jennifer. I keep saying man, bear, pig, and it's just a South Park joke, right? But we can actually throw the pig into this because you know what they're doing recently? They're genetically modifying pigs to grow human organs that they can transplant into people. So it brings it all together.
It's horrible.
It is horrible.
Really,
it is horrible.
They literally have. I was looking at that, and they are allowing it in the U.S. as long as the creature has no consciousness and can't breed. Like it was like something like that. And it's like, oh well, thank goodness. You know, like I mean, consciousness. By what measure? You know, that's really, how are they, I'm not even sure I believe that. Like, it has no consciousness, but it's part human, part pig. I mean, seriously, no consciousness? Can't breed. I mean, that's easy. They can sterilize it, right? But the whole concept is just like, they're definitely up to something. No doubt about that.
100%. Fantastic stuff as always. We got another minute or so left. If you got anything else, what else you got for us tonight?
No, I just think it's really, I mean, it's good that you consider this type of thing. It's important to bring it right to the forefront because, you know, if you have, in the modern world and all the technology, and they're bringing this up, and the Russians are complaining. They're like, we're losing because the Ukrainian soldiers are part bear or something. You know, that's insane to say in modern times. And so it's incredibly interesting to consider that that's still a deep fear rooted in like the human psyche of they're getting the upper hand, not with like technology necessarily, but with the basest thing. They're part animal. Biggest fear of all.
Amen to that. It goes back to the pyramids, the Anubis dog head, and all the rest of that. It is a deep fear. It's the human animal hybrid seems to be unnatural. I appreciate the phone call, Jennifer. Always a pleasure. Jennifer here, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. She's got a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description down below. Give her a follow. And thank you so much for the call. Thanks for listening, and have a fantastic night.
You too.
Thank you very much. There you go. And that rounds us out. So I don't know, like in the end, like I said, sometimes we are a little off the rails here on this show, and it's okay because we sort of live off the rails in those terms because like Jennifer said, I appreciate the thought that somebody needs to be thinking about this stuff. Like I said, it's sort of tongue in cheek, the man, bear, pig, and like this, these secret laboratories and whatever the hell's going on. But I mean, it's straight in the news cycles. Like literally the Russians are claiming that the Ukrainians are hopped up on some sort of a super soldier serum. And in the same 24-hour cycle, we've got a bear serum. Kind of comes, I mean, the syncs make themselves. It's so bizarre. And as always, right, I don't know. I don't have the answers here. I wish I had the answers because answers are easy. All right. I always say that. Answers are easy. You know what's harder? Questions. Because, of course, when you ask the right questions, you don't really know the answers sometimes. And I don't expect to, but we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing goofy stuff. We're going to be talking about all kinds of, you know us, crazy stuff because it is Troubled Minds after all. So it goes like this. The bad news is we're done for the night. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. If you're listening to The Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you want to help the Troubled Minds, the show, hey, there's a number of ways. You can sub up on Rockfin. You can sub up on Twitch or on Patreon. You can go to troubledfans.com, get merch. There's logo hats and shirts and all kinds of cool stuff. If you want to help the show and don't want to spend money or don't have money to spend, I completely get it. Spread the word. Listen to the podcast feed. There's over 450 episodes on the podcast feed. It's monetized, and listen to an old episode while you're making dinner over the weekend or something. It does help the show. Kicks a couple, 2.5 cents or something my way. So pretty please do that. I would appreciate it so much. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for all the amazing calls. And as we finish, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.